What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another Friday night. It's your boys, Stephen Box, joined as always by my co-host, the one and the only,
McCain.
And man, they call us the play callers, but
Definitely
what else do they call us? Cool.
the undisputed, Galaxio, Universal, Milky Way Tag Team Champions of Interactive Sports Talk.
Yes, sir. Man, we got some good stuff to talk about tonight. A lot of, obviously on field or on court stuff happening, but had a few off the field, off the court stories go down this week also that would be a bit remiss if we didn't talk about. So, what would you like to kick it off with tonight, sir?
Well, sir, let's go in order of happenings. So, I would love to kick things off. I did a quick video on this. Actually, uploaded it yesterday. I did it the day before. A little technical difficulty, but the situation with Mr. Deion Sanders. Him electing to take his talents to Colorado. There's a lot of people on both sides of the issue. If you watch my video, you know what side of the issue I'm on. I'll let my co-host kick it off by telling you where he stands, and then I will expound upon my thoughts from earlier.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head, man. A lot of people, kind of fall on both sides of this argument, right? And I'm going to really focus on the people who are upset with Deion, first and foremost. Because my thing is, I sat on here on the show and I told people that I didn't think this was going to be a long-term thing. And Deion never told you that it was going to be a long-term thing. He never said that. What a lot of people did was they took their expectations and they started to apply them to Deion. And they started thinking, oh, he has to be there for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, whatever, right? And they had this grandiose idea that Deion all by himself was going to, I guess, lift up every single HBCU in the world. And those were very unrealistic expectations to ever put onto Deion. I know you covered some of them in your video. I'm sure you got some more you want to cover tonight. But there's a whole list of things he actually did that not only helped Jackson State, but did actually help to elevate HBCUs. He went in and did exactly what he said he was going to do. And then he got an opportunity to go take this job at Colorado. And one thing I want to just point out in all of this is Deion just got a major pay raise for every one of his assistants that's coming with him. And whether people want to hear it or not, here is the reality of the situation. If he goes to Colorado and has success with these assistants, those same people that maybe would have been lucky to get a job at another HBCU or another small college, if they had stayed at Jackson State, now actually get an opportunity to go and be part of a Power 5 program. And if they have success there, they're going to be able to get good paying head coaching jobs. They're going to get other opportunities that are going to come out of this. And so I think people are being very short-sighted and being upset with Deion because they feel like he didn't live up to the expectations that they had set in their own minds. The thing is, Deion never told you who's going to do any of that. He went out and he actually did what he said he was going to do. And I think he actually did a lot to help HBCUs. And I don't think anyone should be mad at him for leaving and helping his assistants get paid more money and get better opportunities. And he's created a path for other coaches who maybe want to go to an HBCU first and then end up getting a Power 5 job. So that's my thoughts on it.
Well, I mean, as I've said before, I'm happy for him for doing it. I want to focus more on the economic impact that he had while he was there, as well as the fact that we talk a lot about, as people of color, we want to see more head coaches that look like us in the NFL, in college, right? professional
Mhm.
basketball as well. We talk about all the sports, major college sports, as well as professional sports, where we want to see more people of color.
Mhm.
How can that happen if, when someone gets the opportunity, they pass it up to stay at a lower paying job that's going to get them less exposure?
Yeah.
Make no mistake about it. Deion Sanders did not have to go to Jackson State to begin his coaching career. There would have been several small Division I conference schools that would have been more than happy to jump on Deion Sanders had he wanted to go that route. But to his credit, he decided, hey, I'm going to go and I'm going to coach at the HBCU. I'm going to do something that hasn't really been done before, and that start at the HBCU and move from there to somewhere else. He said his goal was to, bring in money, empower HBCUs. So let's talk about how he did that, right? Economic impact. And this is information anybody can find if you take the time to look it up. During his time at Jackson State, he brought in $30 million to the city of Jackson, Mississippi. The city of Jackson, Mississippi, not Jackson State, the city. $9 million we brought in for 2022 homecoming for Jackson State. $4 million for the Boom Boom Classic, which a lot of us, Boom Box Classic, which a lot of us hadn't even heard of before he got there. He had the #1 recruiting class in HBCU history while he was there. Obviously, we know he signed the first 5-star recruit to ever come to an HBCU. Most number of quality prospects committed to HBCUs, not just his, but HBCUs in general in 2021. And that put HBCUs on the map nationally.
Mhm.
By the way, they did television and media. TV deal with ESPN, $120 million over 10 years. How many other people have done that? It's somewhere like a Jackson State.
Mhm.
He had 125 of his games aired. Well, HBCUs had 125 games aired throughout the 2022 season. So this is not just Jackson State impact, but impact across HBCUs.
Yeah.
It's only the second time ever going to HBCU, first time ever at Jackson State, college game day game. He also established a pro day for teams to evaluate HBCU prospects. That's something that hadn't been done to that level before. And obviously
Mhm.
other things as well. I could take all day and talk about the things he did, but I wanted to give some points. A lot of people talk about he's a sellout. Oh, he didn't really do anything for HBCUs. I beg to differ. Now, the thing is, what you're really upset about is that other people didn't say, hey, I'm going to follow Deion Sanders' lead. There's several ex-players who I think would be excellent coaches. But the only other ex-player that I can think of offhand that went to a HBCU as coaching is Eddie George. So props to him for that. He doesn't have the same moxie, that same appeal that a Deion Sanders has, but at least he's out there doing it. A lot of guys could help, and that's the thing. We want to talk about what Deion didn't do, but it shouldn't be just Deion. We should be talking about multiple guys. We should be talking about guys following that same blueprint and getting themselves into coaching, and then when the other opportunities come along, they should take them. But here's the problem. Deion Sanders did it. He's getting crushed by half of the HBCU fan base, or the HBCU fan base. There's a lot of people upset with Deion that if we go back and we check where they went to college at, it wasn't an HBCU. We go back and look at where they got their degrees from. If we go back and look where they went to, get masters, get doctorates, they weren't HBCUs. So if you're mad at him for not putting more into HBCU, why haven't you put more into HBCU? As I said on my video the other day, my big thing for this is keep this same energy in dealing with HBCUs. If you're upset that he left, then you know what? Pour into the HBCUs. Go to the games. Fill their stadiums up. Give them the opportunity to then go and get better facilities across the board. Give them the opportunity to be seen. Because one thing I will tell you, ESPN, ABC, CBS, whoever, CW, whoever, if these colleges are bringing in money and bringing in ratings, they will be on TV. But it's up to us, the consumer, the person that's sitting at home watching the games, to turn off the LSU Alabama game and turn on the Jackson State Southern Mississippi game, just to throw two names out there, or the A&T North Carolina Central game. That's up to individuals to do. So we want to get at Deion, and I think a lot of the problem is we wanted him to do everything that we wouldn't do as individuals.
Yeah.
Put in your time, put in your effort. Instead of getting on the man and say, okay, well, if he's not going to be there, I'm going to still support. Right? Still follow Jackson State. Still buy Jackson State merchandise. I went to a different HBCU. If you went to a HBCU, support your HBCU. Talk about your HBCU. When great things happen, put it out there. You have a platform, use it. But that's the thing. We wanted him to do everything, while those who have a problem with him did nothing. Do your part, HBCUs will be in a better place. So my thing is, instead of being upset with Deion, follow his lead and take up the fight that he started. Call out to all the professional athletes that are interested in coaching. Instead of going to the NFL and being a bottom tier coordinator, taking 20 years to get an opportunity, coach college. If you don't have a lot of coaching experience, follow the path that Deion did. Find you a school that's willing to allow you to bring in a strong staff, willing to allow you to grow and develop the school, develop the team while you're at the school. Pull in dollars, bring in booster dollars, give a buzz to the university.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he did. He's shown you what to do. Now we need other people to take up the mantle. And as far as him at Colorado, I love his first talk with the team. He was basically like, half y'all not going to be here. If you're not here to work, if you're not here to win, you're not going to be here. And I will say, if you're a quarterback, he's already let you know you might as well go ahead and transfer, because you're not starting over his son.
He did. He transferred.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, not just him. If you're a quarterback on that team. So not just the starter, but if you're a quarterback on that team, understand you're not going to start until his son is gone. So if you're going to be graduating with or before his son, you might as well get out of there, whether you just started or not. I think you're going to get some guys in the transfer portal that are going to come and make Colorado a lot better for however long Deion Sanders is there. And that's what should happen when you get a coach that has the pull, the magnetism, the personality that he does, the charisma. And I mean, with Deion, it's not just whether your team wins. Your team could be 500 every year, barely make it into a bowl, but he's going to bring so much because of who he is. Mm-hmm. If people are expecting him to get to national championship anytime soon, or even in the playoffs anytime soon, it may be a little bit much that you're expecting, but give him time. If he stays, you never know. I mean, we already know the Pac-12 is going to be a little more diluted in a couple of years, so we'll see how things go. But I think it's a great move. Like you said, more money for the coaches, more money for himself. And let's not forget, reports are conflicting, but at least half of his salary he donated back to the school to help with facilities and help other sports. Yeah. So let's not mention that. Let's not fail to mention that as well, because how many other coaches have done that?
Yeah. So there's two other quick points I'm going to make here. Well, actually three. So one is, you mentioned other, guys, right? So Eddie George is one guy that's back coaching. Hugh Jackson, who obviously had an NFL coaching career, also a head coach. You don't really hear much about those guys, right? They're not going out there and building up the media attention like Deion did, right? And maybe that's not their personality, so I'm not necessarily saying that they had to go out there and be Deion. But my point is, you have other coaches who aren't even going out and trying to make the kind of waves that Deion made. It's easy for people to sit back and say, well, I'm not Deion, I can't do that. Versus trying to figure out a way to utilize the attention that Deion was bringing. And that's where, I'm disappointed in a lot of these coaches, especially the ones who are at HBCUs who want to, kind of take little jabs at Deion now that he left. And, they'd rather try to pull him back down than pull himself up. And that's disappointing to see people do that. The second thing is, people were very critical of Deion for making this move. People were very critical of Auburn for not trying to hire Deion. People were critical of Nebraska for not bringing him in. But I haven't really seen anybody give Colorado any praise. Like you said, we complain and complain and complain about the number of head coaches who look like Deion at Power 5 schools. Yet when a Power 5 school actually goes and makes the move, we don't give them any credit whatsoever. So, to me, it's just another one of those examples of we have to start doing better, right? We have to start recognizing that everything can't always go the way we think it should go. That you have to accept that progress sometimes doesn't look the way you think it's going to look. And make no mistake about it, this is progress. And the third and final point I'm going to make is this: why don't we actually wait and see what Dion does going forward? Not just at Colorado, but if he was donating half of his salary when he was at Jackson State to the university, now that he's getting a bigger payday, we don't know. He might actually still go donate money back to that university. He might still help them build up, even though he's gone, because he might be appreciative of the fact that they gave him his start so that he could actually get to this level. So why don't we actually just wait and see if Dion actually does anything to further help HBCUs? Because my gut feeling is he will.
That doesn't matter though, sir, because he left. None of that matters. The things that actually matter are the things that actually help. If he sits there for another 5 years and they only get that little bit of money that he was able to donate, that's not going to be as much as he's going to be able to do to help and maybe get other people involved to help other HBCUs. I mean, let's be real. A lot of HBCUs have very successful alumni. And I'm not saying they don't do anything for the school, but we don't see a lot of vocal people out, campaigning for their universities. And I'm not saying that that's something that they have to do, but I'm saying if this is the type of thing you're going to do to someone who never didn't go to a HBCU, so he didn't have the need to be like, oh, let me go give back, because he didn't even go to one, right? He went to Florida State. So for him to say, even though I went to even though I didn't go, I'm going to go and pour into them, and I'm going to go and help build them up.
Yeah.
Why are people mad? Oh, because he didn't stay there for his 30 years and retire from there. You don't do that in today's world. Let's be real. You don't do that in today's world. You start where you start. You move on if you can, and if you can't, you can't. Philly, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, man, that's the bottom line. And look, I'll add this one final note, and then we can move on to a different topic unless you have something else to add. You and I both know there are a lot of people who went to HBCUs who do not ever talk about the football team, don't support the football team. If they go to a football game, it is strictly to see the bands at halftime. They do not care about the game. So again, if this is important to you, if you want to criticize Dion, then stop only going for the band. Start actually supporting the team. Start watching the games on TV. Show the networks that these are games that people actually want to see. Buy merchandise. Buy things, that actually are for the football team or the basketball team or the baseball team or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't just go to homecoming so you can see the bands compete. Not saying that you can't go see the bands, but don't make that the only thing you do.
Yeah, definitely. Another topic we definitely going to delve into, and these are sports related, but sometimes you got to veer a little bit from just talking about what happens on the field and check out the actual games. So everyone in the world knows Brittany Griner was released. She was traded for a Russian arms dealer. So a lot of people are upset because the United States did not also get back the Marine who's been over there detained for, I think, 6 years. I'm going to tell you guys what I said back on the show, the receipts from the show when this first started. This was done as a way to focus on that instead of other things. They went and took over Ukraine, a nation that the United States supports. So Russia said, okay, well, we're going to keep you busy by detaining your person and making you have to deal with us to get them back. So for those of you who really thought that anyone would have been able to do any better than what the current administration did, you're not seeing the point. They were playing chess. They planned this the whole entire time. The U.S. is playing checkers, so we were catching up to them. They had made the decision, we're going to get back who we want. We don't feel that we have anything that the United States would do this for. So we're going to create a situation where the U.S. is going to have to move. And case in point, for those who want to disagree with this, most people, when they file an appeal, it takes 3 to 6 months in Russia for that to happen, to go through the process and appeal or not. Hers was rushed to force her into the camp because they know once you get into the camps, life gets much harder. That puts pressure on the U.S. because this is a high-profile case. They were never going to give us back the Marine. It's not going to happen. They created a situation where they had someone that was high-profile enough pressure was going to be put on our government, our president, to make the deal, and he did. So people are mad. A lot of hateful things have been said about Brittany Griner. So I want to tell all those people, if you watch this show, you ought to all be ashamed of yourself. And I also want to point out to you, this trade was still better than the Russell Wilson Seattle Seahawks Denver Broncos trade. Still better. Would it have been better to get somebody else to get the Marine as well? Absolutely. Would have been greater to get 10 or 15 people that was over there? Absolutely. But Russia knew, we keep this person, it's going to create such a firestorm in their media. It's going to pit people on both sides. They're not going to be focused on what they need to be focused on. And we're going to be able to slide in and make things happen the way that we want. That is exactly what Russia did. They took advantage of a situation where they held all the cards. So if you believe that anybody else, including half of your you believe president, would be able to do any better, unfortunately, you're wrong. Am I disappointed in the fact that we only got one player back for a guy that's pretty much a cold-blooded killer? Yeah. But Russia already decided we're going to get the guy back. We're going to create a need, and we're going to make you do what we want you to do to fill it. That's what happened.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things I'm going to point out here. So number one is, and you kind of alluded to this, but I'm just going to spell it out. They actually did try to negotiate with Russia for the release of both of them. By the way, there's also a journalist over there that no one's even talking about. But there has been back and forth communication, them trying to get them to release both. Russia made it very clear they were not going to give us this dude back. They actually are holding him. Now, of course, here in the U.S., his family, we say, like, these are false charges or whatever. But they are holding him for espionage. That is a much more serious crime than you having some drugs. So they've already said they're not going to let him go. We had a choice to make. Either you go ahead and make this trade and you get Brittany Griner to be able to come back home, or you continue to play hardball and you try to wait for a deal that may never come where you get both and they both sit over there for the rest of their lives. That was your options. And I would just say, if you are one of those people that, feels like the former president would have done a better job, which I'm pretty sure that none of those people watch our show anymore, but just in case you are out there and you are still watching, allow me to point out one very simple thing. It's actually been 4 years that this guy has been over there. Who was president 4 years ago? Wonder why that person never brought him home.
Well, also you have to remember, no one even, and this is sad but true, no one even cared about the Marine until Brittany Griner was over there and they started talking about her coming home and making a trade for her.
They did.
So the fallout from this is Angel McCoughtry is the first player that said it. I'm sure many other players are thinking it. Russia's one of the leagues that pays you in a month what they normally make for a year in their WNBA salary, but they're not going back. Because this could happen to anybody. And again, for those who want to say, oh, she's had drugs and blah, 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 she had cartridges that were empty that had slight residue in them. In the United States, it wouldn't have been an issue. She was in a foreign country. She should have made sure that wasn't there. But it doesn't matter, because if they really wanted to detain her, they could have detained her by taking drugs and just putting it in her bag and saying you have drugs. And there would have been nothing she could do to prove it.
Yeah.
That's the thing I want people to understand.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that what she did was right. I'm not saying, oh, we should overlook it. All I'm saying is that this was a plan. Right?
Yeah.
And she put herself in a position for them to be able to use her. And I'm not saying she did it intentionally, but still, she is a grown adult.
Yeah.
So if you want to be displeased with what happened, that's your right.
Yep.
Because guess what? You don't live in Russia. You live in America, where you can say what you want and not have to worry about negative consequences because of your words.
Right.
But understand at the same time, everyone's not going to agree with it. And a lot of people are happy that she's home. WNBA players, a lot of just the population. There's a portion that isn't happy she's home, but there's a lot of people that aren't, and that's okay. You don't have to be happy that she's home. They did the best that they could with the hand that they were dealt. Period. And if you can't get with that, I've got 2 words for you. And D-Generation X said it best.
Suck it. All right. Well, that concludes the first half of our show for the evening.
Yes, sir. The soapbox is put away, guys.
Soapbox is put away. All right. So what's next, sir? What do we transition into here?
Well, we have to talk about the college football playoffs. You know why?
Playoffs.
Because it's playoffs.
Let's talk about it, man.
So, as we all know, on Sunday, the top 4 were released. There's 2 guys sitting here that have been saying for a while this top 4. Right? With some things that happened as far as the loss.
I'm a little surprised they actually did it, but I'm happy.
And this makes sense. And I'll explain to you why it makes sense. Because fans of these teams with 2 losses are going to complain. So I'm going to start there.
Okay.
So a 2-loss Alabama team, 2-loss Tennessee team, 2-loss Clemson team. Was there any one of those 2-loss teams that you felt good about putting in the playoffs?
Nope.
My answer to that is no. I don't feel any better about Alabama. I probably feel better about Clemson and Tennessee just because Tennessee's quarterback is hurt. Alabama's quarterback has been in and out all year. Clemson's quarterback is transferring. So, these were not teams that I felt good about. I felt good about Georgia. 13, even if they lost this game, I feel like, honestly, and I said it to be, I said it to be more open, but my real thoughts was Georgia should have been number 1 whether they won or lost the SEC championship game. Maybe
I would have been
2.
okay with. Yeah, I would have been okay with
2,
Michigan moving to 1 if Georgia lost, but yeah.
But no lower than that. But I think Georgia's the number 1 team. Michigan obviously had to be one of the top 2 teams. So those were set, I think, even before anything happened. So this is what a lot of people said and what I thought as well and what I've actually said before. I think TCU was already set at 12-0 because here's the fact. Even if they lose 1 game, they still have less losses than Alabama, Tennessee, Clemson, Utah, Kansas State, USC, Penn State, Washington, so on and so forth, right? You even got Florida State at number 13 at 9-3 now in the college football playoffs. So, those 2 are in there. TCU 12-1, come on.
Yeah.
You lost in overtime a close game in your championship game that you really had nothing to play for. Ohio State, they didn't play the championship game. They really didn't. But they have 1 loss, and that's to an undefeated Michigan team. Doesn't matter if Michigan pummeled them by 70 points. They lost 1 game. So how can you justify putting in 2 lost teams over a 1 lost team that's only lost to an undefeated team? So that's how you came to this top four. And there will be a group of people, because you can't make everybody happy, that'll make arguments for other teams. But guess what? This is the right four. I'm shocked to say this, but the College Football Playoff Committee, a committee of human beings, actually got together and made the right decision for once. And you may want to tape this and pull it out, because you may not ever hear me say that again.
Yeah. No, not only did they get the 4 teams right, but I actually love the fact that they actually left TCU at 3 and put Ohio State at 4.
Yeah. Because they did get to the championship game, right? So they do deserve to be higher.
And not just did they get to the championship game, but here's the thing. Their only loss was in overtime to a team that they beat the first time they played them. Ohio State's loss was to Michigan, who beat the brakes off of them. If you get the brakes beat off in you and you don't even make your conference championship game, you should be lower than a team who lost the conference championship game in overtime.
Agreed.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm surprised that they got this right, but I'm glad they did. Now, in looking at the actual matchups, so we are going to have Michigan against TCU. They'll be playing in the Fiesta Bowl on the 31st, and Georgia will be playing Ohio State in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, also on the 31st. So, what do you think about these matchups?
I'm going to make this real short and sweet. We're going to see 1 versus 2 for the national championship.
Okay. So you don't see any way Georgia or Michigan is losing either one of these games?
No. TCU just lost to a lesser team. And obviously you got time, you got motivation. You should be ready for this. But this Michigan team, I think they want it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think they're going to have better talent all over. And you got Harbaugh there, who's turned this program around this last few years. After a lot of the boosters and people wanted him fired. Mm-hmm. He actually didn't run. He actually built it back up, and he stays there. He's shown that he wants to be there. And those guys are playing hard for him.
For once in his life.
Had to happen at some point.
Hey, man, that's why Georgia getting a little older.
Right, and Georgia, this is a team that they lost half their defense and a good part of their offense right to the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And what did they do? They did the same thing that teams like Alabama and Clemson normally do. They reloaded and went out and whooped some more hind pots and took some more names.
Yeah, man, I think these games could be closer than people expect, right?
They'll be close, yeah. They won't be blowouts, but
yeah. TCU, I think, is going to give Michigan a good run for their money, but I think Michigan is just going to be too good. I definitely have them winning this game. I will say I think Ohio State does have a chance to pull an upset in this game, right? The question for Ohio State is, can they shake off that Michigan game? Can they come back and say like, hey, you know what, we got another opportunity here? Are they going to come out motivated and ready to play? Because I'm going to tell you, Georgia will be ready to play this game. Georgia is a very well coached team. They've got a ton of talent, despite all the talent they lost. They're starting to gel at the right time. If you ask me to put money on it, I will put my money on Georgia to win the game. But I'm not ruling Ohio State out completely. I think they do actually have a chance. But it's going to require them to come out and play hard to begin with. Because I'm going to tell you right now, Georgia's coming out with the intention of putting you away by halftime. All those close losses and blown fourth quarter leads and everything else that Georgia had for years, it taught them that when you go out there in these games, you better put somebody away. Don't go out there and play around.
You put your foot on their throat and you don't take it off.
Mm-hmm. And that's what they do. They play with that aggression, man. And when teams play with that kind of physicality and that mindset, They are hard to beat, and that's why this Georgia team is going to be very hard to beat. Um, so let's just pretend for a second that we do end up with 1 versus 2 here. How do you see Michigan matching up with Georgia?
Michigan can beat Georgia. They're the only two teams left standing who basically put everybody that was put in front of them down. I think it would be a fight. To beat Georgia, Michigan would have to play turnover-free football. They'd have to try to manage the clock. They'd have to look at the Georgia defense and see what's their weakness, because every defense has a weakness. They would have to be able to exploit that weakness with the best strength that they have to put against that weakness. And it may not be your worst against our best, but whatever you can do to exploit that weakness, that's what you'd have to do. You'd have to be willing, if you're Michigan, to go out there and say, we're going to do some things different. We're going to line people up in different positions. We're going to pull a little chicanery, a little debauchery as well, those type of things. You'd have to be able Yes, sir. You'd have to be able to go out there and say, we're going to do what it takes to win. And that's going to mean giving them some things that they haven't seen from us before on offense and defense. If you're Georgia, you stay the course. You play SEC football. You play the same way you played last year, and you try to be back-to-back champs. Understanding that this Michigan team, they are not playing with you either. This would mean they're 1 win away from being national champs. Right? That hunger, that desire. You think John Harbaugh wouldn't push them boys just a little bit extra, as much as he could, to try to get that championship?
Yeah. So one thing I would just say is this. I think last year Michigan, I don't really remember what the final score was on that game, but I think they got beat pretty soundly when they played Georgia.
They did. Yeah.
And I think they really may have been taken aback by the talent that Georgia had, the way that Georgia played. I don't think they were prepared for it. I think this year they're going into it with a little bit better expectations of what they're going to get. I think they're going a little bit more ready for it. So I think that's going to give them a fighting chance. What's interesting about Georgia is you look at like different teams and the way they've tried to attack Georgia, they'll look weak in an area 1 week. And then somebody will come out and try to exploit that same weakness the next week, and they completely shut it down. Look, we all said their pass defense didn't look that great at one point this season, right? And when Tennessee came to town, we all thought that Hendon Hooker was going to throw the football all over them. Didn't happen. They shut that Tennessee offense down. Got a shout out from Brian Derrida. Said, cool, what's up? Love the podcast.
What's up, Brian?
So yeah, man, that's to me, that's what it comes up to.
Swoop, what's going on?
So yeah, any other games that you're looking forward to for bowl season?
Well, Miami's not in the game, so nothing really that sticks out to me. I figured next week would be a great week for us to really dig into some of the bowl games.
Yeah.
But nothing that really sticks out because, like I said, Miami didn't even qualify. And guess what? They didn't deserve to. And I don't want to get into that tirade, but I'm embarrassed to call myself a Hurricanes fan after some of the trash that we did this year.
I do want to just say this. We'll definitely talk about, some of the other bowl matchups next week. But before we get there, I just want to at least mention one bowl game. And that is the All-State Sugar Bowl. Is Alabama against K-State. Alabama fans, I'm just going to put it out there right now. We do not want to hear your excuses about how you weren't motivated because you didn't make the playoffs. If you can't be motivated to win the Sugar Bowl, then you didn't deserve to be in the playoffs, and you just proved it to everybody. So just going to go and take your excuse away before you even come up with it, because I know how y'all are. But we'll talk about the rest of the games next week.
It will happen. It definitely will happen.
Yeah, I just wanted to go ahead and just go and get that little shot in at Alabama fans real fast while we were on the topic of college football. I know you thought I was going to talk about the Florida State game, but I'll say that for next week.
No, because I know how petty you are. I knew that's what you were going to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. Anything else you want to talk about real quick before we jump into our NFL picks for the week?
I just want to say that college basketball is very good this year. The North Carolina Tar Heels are not very good this year. So, it's okay, right? If you're a fan of a team that's not doing well, this is what I want you to think about. We have a lot of season left. Some teams can turn it around. But even if you can't, one of the things I want people to think about is this. Whatever team you support, when they come on TV, if you have the opportunity, watch them. And I'm going to explain to you why. When everybody tunes out when your team is doing poorly, then you're upset when they're playing well and they're not on TV. Numbers matter. So whether you have a team like my colleagues' Florida State team or my North Carolina team, or Louisville or several other teams that are playing badly, you still want to watch them when they come on. You still want to support them, because if you do not, you won't see them on TV. You'll see their television share shrink. You'll see them at the time that they're on TV shrink. And then you'll be upset when they're winning and you want to see them 10 to 15 times a year, but you can't. So think about these things. Pay attention to these things. As fans, which is a derivative of the word fanatic, we're supposed to go hard for our teams, win or lose. Keep that in mind. Because college football is great, but a lot of our teams are not.
So I feel your point, but I will also point out that
I did say football. I meant basketball. My bad.
Yeah, I know what you meant, but yeah, I do just want to make the point that for some of us, they stopped showing our team already, so we can't even watch.
But they're there because they will be on. No matter how bad your team is on, you're going to play good teams and they will be on. So watch them when they're on. When you have the opportunity, support them, because that's how you get more games when they are playing well. That's all I'm saying.
All right. So anything else? Or are you ready to do these NFL picks?
Well, we can do those NFL picks, but just remember this before the NFL picks. There's two teams. Well, there's one team that everybody's talking about in the NFC, and there's one team that's the best team in football. They both reside in the NFC. So remember this. You may be looking at the NFC Championship game right here.
Might be. May very well be. Oh, and by the way, just a little side note. Apparently, Rams fans are buying up Baker Mayfield jerseys right now. It's actually like the third highest product on Fanatics yesterday. I guess ain't none of y'all actually saw Baker play for the last couple of years. But y'all enjoy those jerseys.
Oh, and if you haven't bought it yet, make sure you use our code down in the description when you do get it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You can go ahead and buy some other jerseys while you're there too. Just in case, give yourself a little,
Oh, and FYI, the Rams are 4-9.
Yeah. I do want to say this real quick.
Excuse me, 5-9, because NFL.com is horrible.
Yeah. I do want to... No, 4-9 is correct, I believe.
Is it?
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure they were 3-9.
Okay, so they're 4-9. Yeah, that's correct. Okay. That's terrible. And if Baker Mayfield excites you that much, just remember there's 4 games left. So the best they could be is 8-9. That's not going to get them in the playoffs. Let Baker Mania chill for a little bit.
Well, here's the thing, man. We talk about this a lot, both on the show and just in regular conversation, about how people are very back and forth about when they want to give credit, right? I'm going to give Baker some credit here. He went out, he made some amazing plays last night, especially on that last drive. But a couple of those passes, I mean, let's be legit. He probably shouldn't have thrown some of those. Some of those were not the best decisions. And if those get picked off, it's a whole different conversation, right? But again, when it works out, we praise people, and when it doesn't, we criticize them. And I'm the kind of person that whether it worked out or not, I'm gonna tell you it was stupid. Like perfect example was from the 49ers in Miami game this past week. I don't know what in the world possessed Mike McDaniel to go for it on 4th and 1 from his own 18. It worked out, and he got credit. And he got credit because it worked out. But that was a stupid decision.
Kahunas.
Yeah, and some of those throws that Baker made last night, I give him credit for making them, but they were stupid. They were stupid throws.
Well, the thing is, if you're Baker Mayfield, you have nothing to lose. You're option
Right.
number 3 on the team
Yep.
for quarterback, right? You only
hmm
played because the backup quarterback couldn't go. So you have nothing to
You
lose.
know,
You can
you
go
know
out
why
there
he
and make
couldn't
those kind
play?
of throws.
You know why he couldn't play? Because he has a broken freaking neck.
Oh, I thought he was dacking it and just didn't want to play against a monster defense, so he just decided to pack it in for extra week.
I don't know. I just wanted to do the whole Kurt Angle thing.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah, I just wanted to take another shot at the Arlington football team when I had the
yeah, that's
opportunity.
fine. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine. You didn't see me, complaining. So all right. So anyway, so we know we know what happened last night. Raiders raided. That's what they do. Um. All right. So first up, we got the Jets at the Bills.
This is harder than it would have been 4 or 5 weeks ago. I'm gonna go Bills, but I'm going to do the whole. I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets win because the Jets are playing well, and the quarterback they have, Mike, who,
My White.
and he's getting them playing, man. Like a lot of people don't understand. There's several places, one of them being Washington as well, where a
hmm
guy may not have as much talent, but the team wants to play for him.
hmm
That matters so much more than talent, people. That matters so much more.
Yeah, I mean, talent is important. And by the way, yes, Jay Swoop, he did say Dak in it. Yeah, as Billy V said, it was against a 30th ranked defense, aka the Raiders, who have blown multiple leads this season. So,
Hey,
just,
Billy V, you know how it goes, man. Anytime they can praise the people that they want to praise, it doesn't matter if they're playing a 32nd ranked defense. You're right. They're going to give them some love and act like they've done something amazing. Because what's the narrative all day? He wasn't even in the facility but a couple of days. It's amazing how he was able to pull that off.
yeah. So yeah, I'm also going to go Bills here, right? I think that the Jets could definitely win this game, like you. Um, but I think Buffalo's kind of started getting their confidence back. They've got their footing back. Granted, they've beat up on a couple teams that aren't real good, but I think it's allowed them to kind of get their confidence back. So I think they'll be fine. I think they'll win this game. All right, we got the Browns versus the Bengals. I'm going Bengals here.
I was thinking about this one earlier. I think I'm gonna go Bengals. I'm gonna go Bengals.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they've gotten whatever was going on with their offensive line kind of figured out, and
Hmm.
I think they got too many weapons. All right,
Yeah.
we got the Battle of Texas, the Texans at the Cowboys. I mean, listen, I would love to pick against Dallas here, but I can't. I can't do it.
Yeah, reasonably speaking, you can't piece against Dallas in this game. This is definitely going to be the Cowboys picking up a win here.
If the Texans were playing against the Texans, I would try to figure out some way to pick somebody else.
I would pick a tie. And Davis Mills is back as a starter, by the way. So, yeah.
All right, so we got the Vikings at the Lions. Seen a lot of people actually picking the Lions in this game. It's like they don't know that it's at 1 o'clock. I'm going Vikings.
Billy V, I'm going Lions. Better offense, I think, in the passing game. Jared Goff, I don't know what's happened to him this year, but he's heard all the disrespect that he's gotten, and he's decided that he's not going to stand for it anymore. I really think that this is the Lions' Super Bowl, right? And when I say that, you know what I mean? Like, this is a game that the Lions feel like we need to win. We need to show people who we are, all that extra hype. And I think the Vikings, they are a good team, but they're not undefeated at 1 o'clock, right? I mean, they have been so far this year, but they're going to lose some games at 1-2. And I think this is going to be one because this Lions team has been playing in all these games this year. There have been very few times that you can look and say the Lions really were just out of the game. And this is not disrespect to Kirk Thuggins, but let me tell you something here, Mr. Witty. I know that that's your boy, your first, second, and third cousins, but let me explain this to you right here. The Lions have been progressively getting better throughout the year. And everybody's going to pick the Vikings, right? Because they had a better record. They're the second best team in the NFC, and blase this and blase that. And hey, I could be wrong, but guess what? If I'm right, I don't even need to mention it. You know why? Because the better passing defense a lot of times wins in this. Better passing offense a lot of times wins in this game. I'm not saying that the Vikings don't have weapons, right? Because Justin Jefferson is a monster. But I'm saying when you look top to bottom, wide receivers, right? This Lions team is playing out of their mind, and they're playing above their talent. They continue that against a Vikings team who we've seen what you can do to win against them, at least stay in the game as several teams have. It's going to be hard to beat that Lions team. I'm going Lions.
Okay.
Rawr.
Yeah. And by the way, I don't think Whitty was saying that you were disrespecting Kirk. I think he was saying that Kirk doesn't need disrespect to motivate him. I think is what he was actually saying.
Well, I mean, no, I was just saying we don't have to disrespect your first, second, and third cousins. No one should, Whitty. That's your boy, and we all know it.
I also will just clarify. I want to just make a slight correction to something you said there. The Vikings are the number 2 seed. They are not the second best team. You said they're the second best team in the NFC, and I just want to specify that they are the number 2 seed, but they are not the second best team in the NFC.
Well, here's the thing, man. If that's the case, then we're not the first best team either, because apparently records don't matter. It's how people feel. So for me, and I say this all the time, you are as good as your record. They have the second best record in the NFC and the NFL. They're the second best team until somebody stops them. They are.
I'm not giving them that respect.
It's not giving them respect. It's a fact. Look at their record.
All right. So speaking of your record, we got the Eagles at the Giants, and listen, I wasn't gonna pick the Giants in this game, even if Saquon was healthy. I don't think they have a chance without him. So I'm going Philly.
Yeah, I mean, there's a laundry list of reasons why I would say Philadelphia. Number one, I feel we're the best team in the NFC and the NFL. A lot of people don't, and that's fine. We are getting some guys back from injury, including our starting third corner or slot corner, who's been out the last 4 weeks. It's not official that he's playing yet, but he's been practicing and he hasn't had any problems with the hamstring injury that's been hindering him. He's excited to get back on the field, so I think we'll have him back. So, Watkins should be playing. He got dinged up in the last game. Kaiser White should be playing. He got dinged up in the last game. But one of the things that I think people better start to recognize about this Eagles team, you have depth at linebacker too. When Kaiser White went out, Nakobe Dean came in. You didn't even notice he was there. And I say that, I said this on Eagles Elite as well, in the best way possible. You get a rookie to come in that hasn't been playing, and you don't even see a drop in the play. You don't see anything to make you be like, oh, that's right, Kaiser White isn't out there. We didn't see any of that. So that means he plugged in and played well. Jordan Davis came back last week, so whether Saquon plays or not, we saw a difference in the run game once we got back our big run stuffer. So I feel like our offense is going to be able to produce more points. I think our defense is going to be able to get some big stops at times. And by no means, I've said this every game except I was a little arrogant against the Commanders the second time. We see where that got me. But I think a lot of the NFC East games, including this one, are going to be tight games because these are teams that know each other. They play hard. They're prepared for each other. They're ready for each other. But in my mind, we're the better team. We have the better offensive defense. And let's not forget, we're going to be playing for our brother, James Bradbury, who was disrespectfully booted from the Giants. And that's how we got him.
Okay. I mean, I was just gonna go Giants because y'all are just a better team. Sorry, I was gonna go against the Giants because you're a better team. That's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
All right. So got the Ravens at the Steelers.
I'm gonna go Ravens. I will say the Steelers have a chance to steal this one because of one thing we all are well aware of. Lamar Jackson more than likely is not going to play. Yep. But Huntley has played well in Lamar Jackson's absence in the past. I don't see that necessarily changing. So I think we've got, a team that has some deficiencies in the Ravens. But if they can't get up and take care of this Steelers team, you definitely are not going to be a playoff team. You've got to win these type of games. We talk a lot about teams winning the games they're supposed to win. This is one of those Ravens. You got to do it. Even though you're playing in Pittsburgh, you've got to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's going to be easy to look at this game and say, well, Lamar is out. Outside of Lamar, they haven't been running the ball particularly well. The defense has given up a lot of points and just automatically say, well, they're going to lose this game. But that would be forgetting that they're playing Pittsburgh, who has a lot of their own issues, including their quarterback situation. So, I'm actually going to go Baltimore here. I think it will be a close game, but I think Baltimore actually pulls this one out, even with their backup quarterback in. All right, so moving along, we got the Jaguars at the Titans. I'm going Titans.
Yeah, Titans were disrespected by the Eagles last week. They've got rid of their general manager, not just because of that, but partly because of that. I think they get back on track this week and pick up that much needed dub.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a positive vibe in the building this week that's going to carry over onto the football field on Sunday. All right, we got the Chiefs at the Broncos.
Next, we know who's winning this game, Chiefs.
So I'm going to do this real quick. Just how I'm going to answer this. So Jay Swoop earlier said the only way the Giants are going to win against the Eagles is if the entire Eagles team does not show up. So if you just put Broncos in for Giants and Chiefs in for Eagles, it's the exact same thing.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
All right, we got the Panthers at the Seahawks.
Seahawks. The Panthers are starting Sam Darnold. As I said on the Matchup Madness, a lot of the sports shows here, a lot of the people here, they really like, the other guy that they're not starting. But, hey, the organization wants to stick with Sam Darnold because he had a not bad game the last time they played.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the Panthers in a nutshell.
Yeah, I feel like the only real chance the Panthers had to win this game
is if Seattle doesn't show up.
Well, no. They are going to get Foreman back this week. So if he's able to help kind of get the running game going a little bit, and they catch Seattle maybe looking a little bit ahead of Thursday, because they're playing the 49ers Thursday. So if they can maybe catch them looking ahead a little bit on a short week, maybe they get lucky and pull out a win. I'm not picking them, but I'm just telling you that's how it could happen. I'm picking Seattle.
Yeah, I don't think it will. But it is the anything is possible type thing.
And that brings us to the Bucks at the 49ers. So this is a little bit more interesting matchup than it would have been a couple weeks ago, right? Uh, Obviously, the number one thing is Jimmy Garoppolo being down, rolling with Brock Purdy. Looked really great last week. This Tampa defense is going to be a little bit more of a challenge, right? So we're going to have to see what he does. Also, Nick Bosa has not practiced at all this week. That does not necessarily mean he will not play Sunday, but I think you do have to consider the fact that we're going to have another game, a divisional game on Thursday night.
Right.
It's very realistic that Nick Bosa may be held out of this game until he can be ready for Thursday. Uh, and even though Tampa's down, I think like 3 offensive linemen, that is obviously going to be huge for them if Nick Bosa does not play. So, with that said, who do you think is winning this game, sir?
So the 49ers should win this game because Brock Purdy should be able to dump the ball off to Christian McCaffrey. I saw he was questionable, but I'm pretty sure he's playing. As well as you have guys that are yak kings. You can throw them a 5, 6, 4, 5, 6, 7 yard little slant, and they can take that for
Yep.
20, 30 yards. Ayuk's kind of been your guy so far this year that's really got
Mm-hmm.
the bigger plays, but that's just
Yep.
because same effect that's happening on our team. You have so many other weapons to watch out for. He's able to get a mismatch, and
Yep.
anybody with common sense will hit him on a mixed match.
Yep.
The only issue I can see, I think a lot of things are going to be tight. The issue I can see for the 49ers is the Tom effect, right? Because Tom gets all kinds of blasphemous, ridiculous calls that other
Mm-hmm.
people don't get.
Yep.
So I'm going to pick the 49ers, but if it comes down to a tight game, I get concerned because you know what'll happen.
Yeah.
It'll be some kind of roughing the passer that's not really roughing the passer. You can't even get in that same vicinity of Tom Brady, or they might call it. So that would be my only concern. But I think if all things are even and the 49ers can make sure that they have a little bit of a lead going into the end of the game and don't let it stay too close, you're going to have to be up 10 because they may give them a garbage,
Yep.
continuation of the series, which could lead to a score as it has for them in a couple of their wins.
Yep.
That's the only thing that would concern me. But I think the 49ers should
Yep.
win this game based off all things being equal and managing the Tom Brady effect.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to pick the 49ers. One thing that's very interesting is since getting Chris McCaffrey, we actually are throwing the ball 67% of the time on first down.
Yeah.
And that's very unusual because we're a run first team. But what we've kind of realized is for whatever reason, our run game hasn't been working well this year. And part of that reason is because everyone is sold out to stop the run. It's going to be even more so this week because Tampa's going to want to really say, hey, we're going to sell out on the run. We're going to make Brock Purdy beat us. I'm sure Todd Bowles is going to come up with some unique coverage looks for him, see if he can throw him off a little bit. But I want to touch on something you just said about the close game thing. And this isn't specific to Tom Brady, but I saw somebody else point this out earlier in the week, and I thought it was very interesting and a good point. So the NFL sends all of us in the media every week. We get this NFL, 7 for Sunday email and all this kind of stuff. And one of the things that they always start these things off with is by telling you the number of close games, the number of games that were within one score. So clearly, when I see this, what I'm hearing is that the NFL prioritizes close games. The NFL knows that close games are ratings. So when I go out and I see referees ignoring holding calls, because by the way, the Bucks offensive lineman was literally holding every single play of that last series. All of them, not some of them, not a couple of them, but all of them. He did not get called once on that entire last series. So to me, even if the NFL is not going to officials and saying, hey, make these calls, ignore these calls, if you're telling the officials that these close games are, what you want, we shouldn't be surprised when all of a sudden they start getting a little loose or a little tight with their calls at the end of the game if one team has a chance to get back into it and make it a little closer. I'm not saying they necessarily was doing it to get Tom the win, but they may have just been like, hey, let's just, make sure we get it a little closer. And then that gave them the opportunity to win it. So I just wanted to kind of, discuss that real quick. Woody says, if Purdy outplays Tom, Tom needs to endorse football. Here's my comments for you, Woody. First of all, it wouldn't be the first time that Tom Brady was outplayed by a backup quarterback. Secondly, I will say that Tom Brady is going to play better than Brock Purdy. But if Brock Purdy is doing his job, what's
Managing
going
the
to
game.
happen is he's going to get the ball into the hands of his playmakers, and they might only be 5, 6 yard passes for the most part, but those guys are going to turn them into big plays.
Yak
That's
Kings.
what, yeah, that's what our offense is. That's basically those passes are extensions of the run game. Fine, you want to stack 6, 7 guys in the box? Cool. We'll just
Throw it
throw the
right
ball
behind you.
7 yards. Yeah, we'll just throw the ball 6 yards down the field and let those guys run. So yeah, that's what Brock Purdy has to do. So he's not going to outplay Tom Brady. He might end up with better stats, but he's not going to outplay him.
Plus, he's not going to get those bogus calls that Tom Brady gets either.
Right. All right. So with that, uh, Sunday night, Dolphins at the Chargers.
This would have been a nice flex for the Eagles Giants. I just want to put that out there. The Chargers have to win this game because they're on the outside looking in. But the Dolphins have lost for the first time with Tua all year. So I see them kind of being motivated as well. I'm actually going to go Dolphins, but I think it'll be close. I said on Wednesday night, I think Justin Herbert is a dark horse candidate for MVP. A lot of people said a lot of negative things in the comments, and that's okay. You're entitled to your opinion. But I want you to go look at his stats compared to the guys who are in there, except Jalen Hurts, because Jalen Hurts is really great on the turnover ratio and the running is part of it as well. But look at those other guys, and I'm gonna tell you right now, Jalen Hurts is not gonna win MVP. Jalen Hurts should win MVP, but he's not gonna win MVP. I guarantee you, he's not gonna win MVP. He should, but he's not. When you look at these stats, these last couple of games, Herbert's stats are as good as other guys who have had their top receivers, at least one of them, healthy all season. His 2 top receivers have been hurt. Keenan Allen, I think this is his 2nd game back this week. Mike Williams played 2 or 3 games, then he's been hurt. So he hasn't had his top 2 wide receivers all year both playing. And you don't think people who are in love with this guy, who worship the ground that he walks on, are not going to do everything they can to push him in and to the top of that MVP discussion in the next few weeks. If you don't believe that that's a possibility, then I don't know what league you're watching, but it's not the same one that I'm watching.
Yeah.
Because you want to go off of who should win. It's not who should win. It's who they want to win. This is all voted on by people. This is not something they look at the stats and say whoever has the best stats wins. Whoever is the best team with the best stats. That's not how this goes. It's voted on.
Yeah.
And he's loved.
Yep.
Pay attention.
Yeah.
Stay woke.
So, my thing is, the Dolphins last week got embarrassed. They talked a whole bunch of smack before the game. They came in there feeling themselves. They thought they was about to come in there and do something. And the 49ers defense from the jump had Tua out there seeing ghost. And they just got embarrassed. They got punched in the mouth and they did not deal with it well. I think that's going to help them focus this week. It's going to get them locked back in. They're going to come out there ready to prove a point. This Chargers team is so up and down that they'll put up a good fight. Justin Herbert's going to put up good numbers. I had a chance to, play. We played against them when he was like really starting to get back healthy, but he didn't have his receivers, and he was throwing dimes out there against us. So to me, he's going to go out and put up his numbers. Like you said, he is in that conversation, but I think the Dolphins win this game. I think they got something to prove this week.
Yeah. Agreed.
Where he says the Commanders are undefeated this week. Let's go. All right, so Monday night, we got the Patriots at the Cardinals. Really need to start flexing Monday night games. That's what I'm coming up with right about now. You know what I'm saying?
Who cares? That's my real question. I'm going to go Patriots, but who really cares?
I'm going to give you the answer that I give you about once every few weeks, which is The Patriots are going to win this game, but the real losers are anybody who watches this.
Yeah, Thursday night games and Monday night games this year have offered me a lot of time to do some extra research, get some things together, work on logos, work on some different things because I haven't needed to watch a lot of it because it just haven't been worth my time.
Yo. Now, with that being said, this Thursday, division matchup. Two teams that do not like each other. Two teams that are battling for the NFC West lead. The 49ers at the Seahawks. This should actually be a good game.
He's trying to sell y'all on this game for Thursday. He wants y'all to watch.
Hey, would you disagree though? That this, compared to the regular Thursday night game, should this not be one of the better Thursday night games?
This is definitely in the top 3 without it even being played.
Yeah,
just based on what we've been seeing for Thursday nights. That's true.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying this is gonna be like the game of the year or anything like that. I'm just saying compared to the normal Thursday night games, this is actually gonna be a good game. Put your logo to the side and watch the game. That's what I'm saying. Of course, I'm picking the 49ers. I picked them weeks ago. I don't care who's at quarterback. I'm not changing my pick.
This one's really hard for me because there's a couple of question marks with Seattle. Is Kenneth Walker going to be healthy? Is anybody going to be healthy at running back for Seattle?
Doesn't matter.
Well, it may not to you, man. That's your team. But as a guy that's just, looking at this from the perspective of let's see who we really think is going to win. We do know that Geno Smith has been out playing, and he has not wrote back once he got written off. He has not wrote back. Defense has been playing a lot better. We have the unknown, though, in Purdy. Because when you have a guy that comes in, you don't know. So the thing is, if you don't know, you don't have time to get footage on him as well. Right? This is going to be hard because this first full game, you got to turn around and play and then dissect all that, try to put things in, figure all that out in like 3 days. So I think I'm going to go 49ers because there are a lot of question marks with Seattle as far as running back, different things. With the 49ers, we know who's going to be playing for the most part unless something happens this week, which we don't anticipate. I think they have a better overall receiving and tight end core. So I'm going to go 49ers in this one, but it is a difficult one to pick.
Yeah, this is what I will point out to you. Aaron Armstead is back, which means our run defense is even better than what it's been, and we were already the number 1 run defense even with him out. I don't think Seattle's going to be able to run the ball against us. And I don't think that Geno Smith is good enough that if he has to draw back and put the game solely on his arm, I don't think he's good enough to beat us. That's my thoughts.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So that's all of our games for week 14, and then heading into week 15. And then just a reminder for people, that following week, we do have Saturday games as well. So we'll obviously talk about those next Friday night. But just a little reminder for you, going to put that on your calendar. There are going to be some Saturday games as well for week 15. So.
Absolutely.
Oh, and Witty, just so you know, I'm picking the bye week to beat the Commanders.
Yeah, Witty, I'm going to need y'all to get y'all stuff together because y'all out the playoffs now.
Look, man, if you're using NFL.com, you might want to verify that because, they don't be that accurate sometimes.
I wasn't using NFL.com, sir.
Oh, okay. Just making sure, man. Just making sure. You know what I'm saying? So.
Well, the thing you got to remember is with NFL.com, the main issue they have is their algorithm doesn't take into account division winners for the NFC.
Clearly.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, we're just gonna ignore the fact that somebody's leading the division right now.
And what's funny? If you go on, it won't have it, but then if you go back, it'll be right.
You know what's never right when you come back? Us. because we're right the first time. Not really always, but sounds good anyways. So, any closing thoughts that you want to leave us with tonight, sir?
I would like to say that the Saints are on bye this week, so that's a little disappointing because if they're on bye, I can't cheer for them to lose. And I need Saints losses because I want that top 5 pick, and I actually want it to be a top 3 pick. Thank you, Saints. The only 2 teams that are mathematically eliminated from playoffs right now are the Texans and the Bears. We're clearly not going to get the number 1 pick because the Texans are atrocious, horrible, horrid, and all the other negative things you could say. But still hope for that to stay a top 5 pick and maybe a top 3 pick. But we'll need some teams to decide to win games. Don't know if that's possible. So those teams at the bottom, I think they're all tanking. And Saints, you should tank as well because your 2nd, 3rd, 4th, all those other picks would be much higher if you just go ahead and do what's best for business.
Well, I have no interest in you having a higher draft pick, but I would be okay with the Denver Broncos deciding to actually win some freaking football games and that allowing you to move up because I don't want Seattle to have a top 2 pick.
Well, the thing is, man, Seattle was going to have a top pick for probably the next, 3 years or whatever because, unless they do a big overhaul in Denver, it could get real ugly.
Worst trade ever.
Worse than the Brittany Griner trade.
I just want to say, I'm glad that they didn't. It worked out well for us. But I just want to say, Broncos, I tried to give you Jimmy Garoppolo for months. You didn't want to take him.
Bad shoulder, bro. Nobody didn't know.
We would have taken like a 2nd round pick. You could have saved all that money. You could have saved all them picks. Could have been good. But no, y'all wanted Russell Wilson. So enjoy.
Take that. That's what he really wanted to say to y'all.
Take that. Oh, they took it. They took it.
And they took it a little bit more.
Appreciate everybody tuning in. Appreciate the love from J Swoop and Philly. Both said they enjoyed the show tonight. Of course, Witty, Billy V. Appreciate y'all also tuning in, joining us in the chat. If I missed anybody, apologize for that. But big shout out to everybody who tuned in, whether you're catching us live right now or whether you're listening to this on the replay. Always appreciate it. And we will see you back. Just remember, new start time, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will see y'all next Friday night. Play callers out.